Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Chevron 1, loaded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry hammer, and let's set the tongues of war.
Chevron 2 is loaded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women.
It's all in the reflexes.
Paul also said you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
Not for while you can, monk boy.
Great Scott.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass! I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an ally.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.
Yes, we're here, slightly late. It's a little bit of everybody's fault, but it's okay. It's all right. We're here to welcome to Saturday Night Drive-In, where we just want to take a break from all the crap and enjoy some movies and talk about them. And we have a special guest tonight, producer of all things nerd-erotic, master builder of shelves, Xray girl. How you doing? Welcome to the channel, Xray girl.
Oh gosh, thank you for the invitation. I'm excited to talk about good movies, which
Yes.
I mean, Friday Night Tights talks about some positive stuff.
There's the meme involved.
Well, I mean, House of the Dragon was great. So everything else is pretty much crap, though.
Yeah. That's why one of the reasons we decided to do this show was so that we could just talk about things we like, and we don't always agree on the movies too. We don't always agree, but we have good discussions. But it's not. But there's no hate involved. It's just okay. I give it. We objectively grade it. We get a little subjectivity, but it was okay. We have fun. We're not an echo chamber, and it's great. But we just want to we do this to have a little good time, and we're happy to have you here. And it was especially fun because when Jed said, "I'm going to ask Xray girl if she wants to come on because she hasn't seen it yet," and I thought we can help her fill out her little
My
notebook.
list.
Help her scratch this one off. Let's get her started on the journey that is Lethal Weapon. And chat, I just want to say chat's gonna be chat, but we're gonna ask you to try and not spoil Lethal Weapon 2 through 4 because she hasn't seen them yet. Jed and I are gonna try and control ourselves. We just ask to just try. It's
be hard.
Okay. It's gonna be hard. I'm not gonna play my favorite clip. From 3 that I have on tap. I'm going to resist.
Oh, no.
It's a great clip. It's characters you haven't seen yet, so it would be pointless for you, but it makes us laugh. Either way. So, Jed, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great. As many people in the chat know, I've been extremely busy doing a last-minute move to Florida, but it is great to talk about one of my favorite action movies of all time with the ever-effervescent Xray girl joining us. It's great to hang out with you again. It's long separated from our days of shenanigans on Geeks and Gamers Tabletop.
I know. I miss those days. They were great.
I mean, that was both of your first time playing tabletop, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
she started it before I did, but yeah, you're really missing out. You missed out on this last session that we did, a 3-hour stream, basically with me trying to seduce a 8-foot tall dragon lady femcel. And I mean femcel literally. Like, she was 8 feet tall because apparently her race gets big when they don't have sex. That's what makes her tall.
Wow.
It was something else. I had a roll for endowment, and she had a roll for wetness.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a grower then.
Rudai has a problem.
That's the great thing. Tabletop gaming, you never know what's going to happen. I once, the last real game I ran, that was 20 years ago. Yeah, I'm old. It was a game where I let the players do whatever they wanted. They ended up poisoning a village, taking control of the village, leading them to Utopia because they wanted to build Utopia. They captured an orc warlord, put him in a cage, hired a goblin to poke him with a stick to keep him angry all the time. And it got really out of control. And then I had them go fight dark elves, and I humbled them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we killed an entire town, but that seems very small.
They wanted to
compared
enslave
to
it.
Yours.
They wanted to enslave it. It's like,
We
we're
should
gonna
have enslaved it. Oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be the good character too.
Yeah.
That's the worst part. I'm along for the ride.
Rudai keeps reminding us that we're supposed to be the good party in comparison to you guys on Monday, and it's difficult because I have that instinct to, just rampage as well. Torture, casual torture, but instead we got to be all nice and try to screw the people instead of torture them.
See, that party,
Well, why can't you do both?
They released a dragon
simultaneously. Dominatrix this bitch.
Yeah, don't save the world from the dragon. Let it go, even though they released it. Don't stop the orc army from marching. Nope, we're gonna go the opposite direction, and we're gonna found Utopia, and we're gonna enslave people along the way to build our Utopia. Anyway, we're not here to talk D&D. We're here to talk Lethal Weapon, the original buddy cop movie, the first 1984, 85. I know the movie takes place in 84. I think it came out in 85. Legatus will hit me up on that. And hail to the chat. Hail both Mustang and Legatus, my mods, my regulars. Hail Grump. Hail to you, Algrim the Strong. How you doing? Scrolling down. Hey, good evening, Kale. We're working on the member chat thing. Mustang is looking into it. We're double checking it. We'll find out. We'll work it out with you later. Hail Aigleen. Welcome to the stream. And anybody else just chilling out and watching, we're happy to have you here on what's usually a busy Saturday evening. Xray girl, I gotta ask this right away. We're gonna settle something. Lethal Weapon.
Okay.
Is it a Christmas movie?
No.
After watching it, I have to agree this time.
Oh no!
There's only Christmas. There's only Christmas around. Yes, there's a gift at the end. That's the only time they really reference Christmas hardcore.
Okay.
But
and the gift is called a birthday present for his 50th. So the gift's not even a Christmas present.
We have an ongoing debate here when it comes to Christmas movies, what goes on in Christmas movies. So with fresh meat on the table, I thought, okay, we're gonna ask Extra
straight
Girl
out.
I'm now in the minority. Mustang's doing a cheer someplace if he's watching right now. He's pointing him.
Die Hard's still a Christmas movie.
I was about to
I don't
say,
think
Die Hard, they involve Christmas decorations and all that, so it's a bit more Christmassy than at least this one. It just takes place around Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay, you've
it's more
redeemed yourself.
it's more the opening and closing credits and the occasional reference. It's about it in this movie, but Christmas plays a major role in Die Hard.
I'm very lenient in my definition. I admit that. Anyway, all right. So now, seriously though, X-Girl, your first impressions as you started this movie, what were you expecting going into this?
I didn't know who was starring in it, and to be honest, Mel Gibson, I've seen a lot of his stuff in like at the 90s and 2000s probably. He's very good looking. Was my first impression.
The thirst for Mel Gibson in the 80s was very high.
Especially the shirtless last half of the movie.
That was whew.
Within the first 10 minutes, you get Mel Gibson man-ass. Within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. I just never remembered him looking good like that. So I was just like, okay, I'm interested in this movie.
Very young.
Yeah. This is when the thirst of Mel Gibson really began, and it went on for about a decade. There was always the term Mel Gibson's ass thrown around all the time, and you get it right there. So you didn't even know Mel Gibson was in it. Danny Glover. I mean, and they're the stars. Everybody else is kind of secondary. But so you had no idea who was going to be in it. What else did you think you were going to get out of this before you get into it deeply?
Well, I wasn't sure what kind of movie. Lethal Weapon just sounds like an action movie. So I was expecting a lot of action, a lot of fighting, which we got.
Yes.
I didn't expect the cop aspect just from the title alone, but that's just first thoughts. And I mean, I was pleasantly surprised about how good the movie was.
It really, now again, without spoiling, and we didn't know it at the time, this movie is a fantastic foundation for the next 3 movies that are to come. It sets a lot of stuff. Let's just say there is payoff. And that's one of the things we really latch onto in a lot of these movies we watch these days, or where we cover movies, payoff. When things are set up in the story and given a full, complete development. And this, even within this movie, there is great little bits, but it's setting up so many other things. But I am... I'm fascinated that when I rewatched it, I did my rewatch this afternoon for the umpteenth millionth time. I mean, I didn't need to watch it, but I watched it anyway. The character development in the first 15 minutes, Jed, in the first 15 minutes, we get everything we need to know as the setup.
Yes, absolutely. Now, this movie, I wouldn't say the plot is particularly profound, but it's the character development that really makes it stand out above a lot of its competition as one of the premier action movies out there, because the character development, just like you said, in the first 15 minutes is exceptional. For Danny Glover, we know the basics of his character from just him sitting in a bathtub talking to his family. And with Riggs, you do get quite a bit from when he just wakes up in the trailer, but I say we find out the most when he does that drug bust.
So the drug bust. All right, so that's the first real action of but before we get into it, I want to talk about the opening scene then. Again, this is years of watching this movie, and I really watched it closely this time around, for the discussion purposes. Amanda Hunsucker, when she's about to take the swan dive. For the first time, I noticed that look of despair in her eyes, of realizing I hate my life. What have I
know why it took you so long to realize that look on her face.
Boobies.
Yeah.
It's a little distracting, but you don't immediately think about it, right? Because it's incredibly poignant that she, the entire film is kicked off by someone Minecrafting themselves, when that is like the premier motivation for Mel Gibson's character throughout the movie. That is his end goal and everything. So to have the story of him getting over that begin with a suicide is incredibly impactful, and you don't really know how much it means until later on in the movie. And that's a great example of that setup and payoff that you were talking about, that it's just so very, very well written in dialogue, setup and payoff. It's just a lot better than even I remember from when I first watched it. But I do have to say, like you, I missed the look on her face the first time I watched it, mainly because I watched it on AMC for the first time and they had to edit out that entire scene because of the titties. And watching it unedited for the first time, I was very angry that I'd watched it for years and never known that there were such great titties in it.
Did you ever get in the edits where they, instead of saying F you, they're going, forget you.
I got a couple of those. Well, it was difficult for me to pay attention because a little backstory in my life. I watched it first when I was 15 at a family reunion, and I got the sickest I'd ever been in my entire life. Like COVID doesn't even compare to how sick I was. Like I had a fever of like 105. I couldn't stand up. I was just on the couch. And they apparently AMC was marathoning the Lethal Weapons movies over and over and over again. So during that family reunion weekend, I watched the Lethal Weapons movies about 7 times.
But you watch them empty. See, Extra Girl, back in the day on cable, before they started being lenient on language, when they would take one of these blockbusters and put them on broadcast television, instead of F you or shit and stuff like that, they would say, forget you. It
doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Or then they started just muting it as time went on. So I just wanted to know if Jed, that was what you saw. And it warms my heart that you got hit by that too.
I did. It was incredibly distracting.
Yeah. But I mean, I was watching it this afternoon and I realized, wow, there's that one moment when she's looking the distance and the soullessness, the emptiness in her eyes. And then as we go on, you watch the movie, you learn that she was a prostitute. She was whoring herself out. And it's just and go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Besides, of course, the two main characters, she's probably the best actor in the movie, and she delivers. I don't think any prominent actual lines in the movie. She does in some of the videos in the background, but no real line deliveries. It's just her facial expression, and it's really a symbol of the lost art of acting. Because an extra, equivalently, she's barely more than an extra, can act better than a lot of great Hollywood actors in the modern day. It's really a sign of why I think 80s is one of the greatest eras for movies, because just someone like her can deliver such a powerful performance.
And let's remember who directed this. Richard freaking Donner directed this. He got the ultimate draw out of everybody in this. This is another movie that's a masterclass in show don't tell. Because again, like you said, everything for the opening of Riggs and the tree, the drug bust, the tree fight there. You see he's on edge. First, you just think he might be a burnout when he wakes up with a cigarette in his mouth, shot of a man ass, goes to take a pee, and the dog's watching him take the pee, and you're like, okay, moving on. And then he goes through the bust, and he loses it, and the guy's like, shoot me, shoot me, shoot me, shoot me, and then the headbutt, and everybody needs to calm him down. And then the nighttime comes, and he almost Minecrafts himself with the special bullet and everything. And there's not, it's all show wrapped up. And he's even got a Looney Tunes Christmas carol going on in the background where it's supposed to be something nice and wholesome, but he's sitting there, and in these little bit of moments, you realize he's looking to picture. It's his dead wife. Something happened to her. You understand something happened to her, and it must have been horrible because he is broken. And he even goes far, the barrel in his mouth, and he's crying. It's powerful. And he says barely a word. I miss you, Victoria Lynn. I'll see you later, much later. But so I mean, Xray girl, are you connected to Riggs at this point, even after just these couple minutes?
Yeah. I felt that I want to know what happened to her. Why is she gone? And of course, I'll see you much later. It means, okay, no, she's dead. Like, you didn't have to say she's dead without saying she's dead. So I thought that was kind of creative. And it just created this mystery and question, like, maybe he went crazy after she died and has this death wish. And why is this bullet so special? And what significance does this all have? And I'm curious to find out who this crazy cop guy is.
You're connected. So right away, you've got again, this is literally the first 14 minutes and something like 56 seconds of the movie. And like Jed said, we understand Murtaugh. Beautiful family. Even though why everybody's in the bathroom watching the bath, I still will never understand that.
It's so really weird. One of the
strangest things, because he didn't have bubbles or anything, and he's just in the tub, and like everyone's surrounding him. I'm like, I think I would never go to my father as a teenager while he's in the bath. Get that close.
I know.
And it's so weird to be.
And this isn't too much of a spoiler because it doesn't spoil the content. They repeat it in Lethal Weapon 3. They repeat it in Lethal Weapon 3.
Oh.
But they have bubbles that time.
But there are bubbles of that.
The mom walks in first to make sure the bubbles are covered.
And puts a washcloth over him too. Okay. So they did. So that is one of the most criticized.
It was weird.
Yeah, that has been heavily criticized over the year. It is cringe, but you still a family, a tight family environment. The kids are going to school. The kids are happy.
They're loving. The wife makes food. There's banter. It's just a nice family dynamic. And you know, the funny part is, if we're going to bring woke culture, kind of mention it. Oh my gosh, this is a traditional family, but it's a black family, whereas the white guy is like this crazy, unhinged, suicidal person. Like, that's not normally portrayed in television or movies, right? It's usually kind of switched around.
Well, and this is the 80s. They just acted like it wasn't a big deal. It's not like the modern day. They would have constant references to, look, we're black people in America. This is LA. You're a cop.
There's like one line after Dixie's house blows up, or the kids go, my mom says cops shoot black people, and just Riggs and Murtaugh are like,
Those kids were hilarious.
Yeah. When that line happened, I thought all I could think was, yeah, they shoot all kinds of people. It's not just black people. Just so you know.
Well, and something I did notice, they did have a political sign on their fridge, but it was a very topical one that no one was against. So that wasn't a big deal. It's brought up more in the later movies, but the South Africa situation.
Second movie, apartheid is a bigger, the anti-apartheid stuff, that's a much bigger thing in the second movie. It's part of the plot, actually. So, but I mean, yeah, but then that's not offensive. That's true. That was a true fight for representation and civil rights going on in South Africa at the time. No, it was a thing. But so again, we have a natural organic representation. The 80s, the Murtaughs live in suburbia. They don't live in LA. They live outside LA. It's a neighborhood where kids later on, when he brings Riggs home to dinner for the first time,
the two extra girls.
Yeah, but they just sends the kids home to walk down the street in the middle. It's dark.
Go home.
Go home. Go home, and the kids go home without worrying.
That was 80s life.
80s.
I wouldn't. My childhood.
I wouldn't take my eyes off kids for 2 seconds today walking down any sidewalk.
No.
Even in a regular neighborhood, I wouldn't do that at all. No. So it's great. It feels good, and we don't even think about it because back then you're normal. We were all normal back then. We weren't crazy about the woke, and we didn't think, oh, it's a black family and they're well off. No, they live on a cop's salary and they have a good life and they're happy.
Yeah,
and they're good parents too. Because later in the movie, Rianne, oh, I want to go out to this date. No, you're grounded because you did drugs in the house. We busted you. You're not going anywhere.
I love how she's like, you drink and that's like a drug. That's legal. Weed is not legal.
That was
and
great.
Now that is one of those small things. The movie ages well. I think the movie still ages very well.
Very much so.
It's a time capsule. That's the 80s.
Yeah. Well, that scene is also another great example of very, very subtle setup and payoff. There's just that initial, fight, what you're talking about with the weed versus the beer. And she's asking in all this to go see a boy. And you just think, oh, this scene is just to show how Murtaugh interacts with his kids. You just think, all right, this is whatever. But it is incredibly important setup because at the end of the movie, you just mentioned the Dimples kid and he knows exactly what's going on. And he doesn't really spell it out. It's like she snuck out. She wasn't, she was grounded. She wasn't supposed to be at that kid's house. But somehow the bad guys knew. And you just need to mention kid with dimples. And the audience is smart enough to pick it up. Exactly. I miss movies that trusted the audience. They gave them the material and trusted them. Either one or both of those is missing in most modern day movies.
And even when they're going to tell us stuff, they're doing it in proper exposition. Because after you have Riggs and Murtaugh being introduced and understand, here are our two main players. Here are their lives. One is happy, even though he's clearly having a problem getting older. And that's the theme of the entire franchise. We're all too old for this shit. He is settled and he's happy. And then you have the juxtaposition of Riggs on the edge, clearly suicidal. And now they're put together. But in the following scene, when the captain is talking to the psychiatrist, they talk about his wife died recently, but it's an exposition to try and say this is a serious issue. You're putting a time bomb out in the field. And now you're gonna have
sense.
Yeah, but you're right, Jed. They're not lecturing us. They're not telling us. It's simply we're setting the stage for the rest of the first act, which is Riggs and Murtaugh coming together and having having like 2 or 3 scenes of friction is the best way to put it. Friction to the point of, okay, the Murtaugh is going to understand how this is going to work before we get this act 2, which is the investigation, and then act 3, the fallout of discovering what's going on. And let's see, where do we go from here? Go ahead.
Well, you figured that out. Speaking on that, the writing is just really top notch because it both knows how to utilize some of the best dialogue I've seen and when not to use the dialogue. Like, for example, when Riggs has the gun up to his chin, Murtaugh's gun, and they're just looking at each other. And we all know he's 100% willing to do it. They don't have to say, oh my God, I'm going to pull the trigger. I'm going to do it. They know that sometimes you don't need dialogue. And in other instances, the dialogue tells exactly what we need, just like you said, expositional wise, but it's also very memorable dialogue. Like the lines that really stuck out to me that really build character and are just really memorable was the line, I've been driving since before you were an itch in your daddy's pants.
Oh my God, that line, I was like, ah. Never heard
I love
anyone
that.
said that.
That was great. And then at the end of the movie, Murtaugh, when he was patting down Mr. Joshua, he's like, "You're expecting your German friend? Well, he's barbecuing his nuts over on Hollywood Boulevard." I love that.
There are
So
so many
unique.
memorable. There's so many memorable lines in all these movies, and this is the one that sets the stage for it. But what I want to go to next.
Inversely, we have The Last of Us saying, "I did a bad guy thing. Does that make me a bad guy?" That's the dialogue we get in the movie.
Well, Andrew, it could be improv. It could some of it could be improv. I mean, I
believe
don't
it.
watch behind the scenes stuff, but I think also Richard Donner was such a masterful director that he's able to get the response from the actors that he needed, and everybody in these movies loved making these movies. That is, I believe, a well-known fact. They adored working with Richard Donner. They had fun. You can feel the energy, the fun of this, especially in the jokes. Let's see. After the first act, the way I feel like the first all right, let's move along. The mystery of the whole thing is the death of Amanda Hunsucker. It starts off as maybe it's just we learn it's a murder. She was going to be dead anyway because she was dosed, but then it turns into something bigger where her father is involved with drug runners. And one of the few problems that, even though I love Gary Busey, especially when he's in crazy mode, but I would have liked somebody else, Mr. Joshua, in the end. Somebody could maybe be a little more physical. It just feels in the final in the championship fight, as I always refer to it, because I love that line. How about it? You want a shot at the title? I love that line.
Well, I love that because it's the first time in a movie that I felt like it was justified to have the heroes give up their victory for a final showdown. It happens a lot in movies, but this one is 100% within Riggs' character.
Yeah.
It's 100%. It's justified, and I love that.
Well, at that point, I was thinking about it. There's no Joshua's busted at that point. He's got nowhere to go. He's not getting away. Even if he beats Riggs, Murtaugh has to drop on him. Then, of course, the entire LAPD
All the cops
shows up.
came.
All LAPD shows up. We'll get to that fight, though. I don't want to jump in, but it's I like Gary Busey a lot. I always enjoy him, but I just feel that that's one of my few deductions in this movie. Is I felt that was in the serious moments, it's good, but in the action stuff, I feel somebody else would have been a better fit. I mean,
Like
how much?
who?
I'm terrible at casting, though. I'm going to admit that. I'm terrible at casting people.
I do agree. The villains are probably my biggest problem with the movie. His great scene is the lighter scene, but besides that, he doesn't really stand out to me as anything very special.
The villains improve as the movies go on, though. The villains get better.
Absolutely.
They get much better because these villains, I will say again, I guess is first of all, who would I cast back then? This is the early 80s.
Dolph Lundgren.
No, Dolph Lundgren
I know.
doesn't. We got 2 years before Dolph Lundgren comes around, and Rocky 4. Or is that 80? Is that 85 or 86? Anyway,
I think it was 5.
It was 5. But I mean, I honestly don't know. That's a horrible question to ask me, extra girl. I'm terrible at doing casting. It's a weakness. I'm terrible at casting people. Somebody just who looks believable that could go toe-to-toe with Mel Gibson at that point. That's my problem.
Well, the best villain of the franchise was Danny DeVito in 5, 6, and 7. He was top notch.
Stop. We are not bringing It's Sunny into this. No,
we're not talking about those fan movies.
No. See, now Extra Girl's lost. You lost her. It's not fair.
You got to watch the comedy
Friday
show. Yeah, exactly. You got to watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, X-Ray Girl.
One day,
in like years.
That's a tall order. She's got to finish climbing. She's got to finish climbing these early rungs before she gets to that. But we get these early interactions between Riggs and Murtaugh as we get the story fanning out, where Murtaugh doesn't trust him at all. Doesn't trust him. So stuff, and I love it because, again, Jed brings up the dialogue is perfect in all of this in terms of their relationship. It's antagonistic because Murtaugh is just, you're going to get me killed. You're going to get me killed. This isn't good. I'm 50. I have a family. I don't want to do this. And Riggs has a death wish at this point. But again, it's incredible to look at it how I'm going to say at first Murtaugh goes through calling Riggs a lot of different names early on in this. Kid, Martin, Riggs, and then the final line of after the fight with Mr. Joshua, he falls into his arms and goes, "I got you, partner. I got you, partner." And it builds. It's the bridge building, but it starts with the life-saving moment when they go to bust what they think is just Amanda's sugar daddy. And it's a nice little representation for me, at least, of the comedy aspect of it. Try not to shoot him in the leg because we want to try not to kill him. We want to question him, but they end up killing him, and they think everything's fine. And then we get through that, but then Roger Murtaugh, he feels indebted to Riggs because Riggs saved his life. And then we get the family dinner. I cringed at the family dinner a little bit.
Really?
Because of the daughter?
No, because of the rapping.
Oh, I love the rapping. It's so weird.
That's why
it was so weird. Bad that it was good. I thought it was like adorable, like the kids making fun of the sister. She's fawning over Riggs, and then the dad trying to be cool, but obviously he's like 50 years old, maybe not a good rapper. I'm glad that he totally fumbled it.
Yeah, I guess it's cringe in the good way, but I can't go this all the time going.
Well, I do need to take this opportunity. A lot of people have called this movie a lot of bad names because of the stuff with the daughter, but the daughter is an adult at this point. She is 18. Because she's of the legal drinking age, and in the 80s that was 18. So it's okay. Yeah. It's still weird, but it's not illegal. A lot of people accused it of being illegal. No, it's technically.
And here's what's good though. If you watch during the dinner scene, Riggs is clearly uncomfortable the whole time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's one way.
It's totally one way.
But go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, like that dinner scene was the turnaround of their we'll call it the father-son respect me type of relationship. Now it's more of the equal footing. Like he doesn't feel like he has to teach him. He's like, okay, this guy he can do his thing. He might be a little crazy, but like he saved my life. So, and he's part of the family. Or he's starting to become
the beginning. And that's that right there. You tapped right into it. That moment where he brings Riggs home to dinner for the time, that is the beginning of one of the biggest themes for the entire franchise. Family. We're not talking Fast and Furious, it's family. We're not talking that. We're talking family doesn't need to be blood. Because again, there's a line in Lethal Weapon 3 that is just fantastic. I can't spoil it there, but it's one of the culminations of the fact that Murtaugh in this moment brings this dude, this rando partner he's just been assigned, into his life because he saved his life. And it's the beginning of something that is more than just a partnership, a brotherhood, family. And in the end, and you watch the progression of the movie, it is something that begins to heal Riggs almost immediately. This movie only takes place over about 4 or 5 days. Really?
About
a week.
Like that.
Yeah, about a week. And in that amount of time, and it's crystallized in that final line, Riggs manages to find not complete closure, but he managed to find enough healing aura from all of this that he is not on the edge anymore. And it's because Roger was kind to him, because Murtaugh said, no, I'm going to bring you into my family. I'm going to let you come in here because you saved my life. You've earned that. But then within like that, so that's why that's one of the reasons this family dinner is so important, because it's the beginning of the foundation of family doesn't mean blood. Family definitely doesn't mean color of your skin.
Yeah.
It just means relationship, connections, and finding something that you just click with, and sharing experiences too.
That's one of my favorite themes in movies and television. I think it's put the best in Supernatural, funnily enough. One of the characters in season 4 goes, family don't end in blood, and it sure as hell doesn't start there either. I just love themes like that, and this movie does it very, very well.
And right there, that ease of as soon as this allowing of Riggs to enter his private life, Murtaugh just kind of relaxes a little bit. So when they're on the boat messing around at first, little comedy, they start to talk about the case. And now that's kind of, to me, the beginning of Act 2, where they start talking about the case and we get the investigation into it more. And I really like that because then that's where it surprised you. This was actually a police story where there's an actual crime and a bit of a mystery going on. Well, maybe not so much a mystery, but a danger, a criminal aspect of it, that they have to stop these guys. And again, we were saying earlier, the villains and drug runners, they're kind of one note. I think we agree on that. They're kind of one note in this.
Yeah, them plus the mystery being very one note are probably my biggest concerns with this movie. Character-wise, it's 100%, but plot-wise, it's not really basic. That special. Yeah, very, very basic.
But it didn't need to be more.
Fancy.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't need to be more than it was. Because, like I said, the characters drive it. The characters of Riggs and Murtaugh and all their supporting family members and relationships, that's the driving force, and it becomes the driving force. Now, in the following movies, the stories they build, and you get more out of it. But a basic bitch story is good enough because it's very down the middle. Okay, you got your good guys, you got your bad guys. The bad guys are really bad. The good guys are a little chaotic, but they're good. They're going to destroy a lot of stuff along the way, but they're trying to do the right thing, and they're going to do the right thing.
Jumping a suicidal man off a building is pretty chaotic.
Yeah.
I love
my God.
scene. Probably my favorite scene.
They jumped, and I was like, well, there's something below them. There's no way he would.
There's gotta be, yeah.
They purposely didn't let you see it until that moment when it happens. And I love that scene where he's going, he's trying to kill me. He's trying to kill me. You were up there.
You were up there trying to kill yourself.
It sucks that the stunt coordinators, you can tell in a couple shots, they weren't actually handcuffed together. That the handcuff chain was dangling between them.
Yeah. I might have caught one other thing. I have to go rewatch it. It might have just been an optical illusion because of the targeting thing. Well, the next morning, again, the healing of Riggs and the welcoming of the Murtaugh household. The fact that the following day after Roger watches the depressing softcore porn video of Amanda.
So sad to watch so many titties. I've never been so sad.
I know, because it's like I'm not into this. It's just,
I want to cry, but they're so good at the same time.
I know.
Oh my God. I don't know what to do with myself. What do I do with my hands?
What do I do with my hands?
I keep one of anyway.
One tissue here, one's out.
In one hand, you know, you're crying, you feel bad for the situation, but in the other hand, there'd be lotion.
I see. I told you we operate on the same rules as everybody else here. We're not gonna. It's just a question: who's gonna open the door first, me or Jed? And it was Jed. There.
It's usually me.
It's usually Jed, unless I'm given a really good opportunity early on, or if I'm feeling rather belligerent for whatever stream, then I'll just go for it because I don't care. But after that thing, and what I love right away is suddenly. That's also one of these first movie favorite lines as Riggs is suddenly there in his room, coffee mug under his nose. He's like, wake up. He's like, come on, Raj, you gotta wake up. Gotta go catch bad guys. For some reason, I like that because that's the first real change in Riggs because the previous go ahead.
That's how like friends act with each other. You're not gonna do that if he's talking down to you, right?
Yeah, the trust is beginning to build because that previous night says Riggs is right after he's leaving and says, "You don't really trust me, do you?" And Murtaugh just goes, "How about tomorrow you don't kill anybody, and we'll go from there." Okay, fair enough. And then ask the question: "You don't really like my wife's cooking, do you?" No. Trust.
I love
honesty.
That joke because the whole movie. Like if you at the very end, my favorite one is the. You know, you're crazy if you think I'm going to go in there and eat the worst Christmas Thanksgiving turkey ever or whatever it was. It's like, you know what, Raj? I'm not crazy.
And that's the end. That's when you realize it, but it's a good, funny line, but it's also a massively important line.
Yeah.
That's because
this movie marries that so well.
Because
every piece of dialogue is good, has a point, but feels like something someone would actually say. It's a very hard balance.
Riggs has grown. Throughout this whole thing at this point, that right there where Raj is offering him the doorway of just okay, I'm going to open this door. It's in balls in your court now. And the next day he comes in jokingly, coffee, let's go catch bad guys, and then the banter in the shooting range. as they're sussing out the case. Okay, we're doing a little cop work. Meanwhile, we're going to have a little fun at the same time. But also, Jed, payoff. Once again, payoff. The Murtaugh one-shot.
Yep, sets that up for later.
Well, even in the precision long shot of Riggs, like, I mean, they kind of hinted that he was really good at that stuff, but seeing how precise he could shoot in one area, it's like, okay, well, I believe that he could be a, I don't know, what's the long distance gun called?
Sniper.
Sniper. He could be a sniper and good at it. So.
But it's the banter. But then, of course, and honestly, I'm going to admit that's kind of a joke that has rubbed off on me all the years. If I'm doing something, I'll hum like Riggs does. If I'm doing something like that. And he just does the have a nice day. And did you notice this? That on the grip of his Beretta, there's a have a nice day sticker on the grip of his Beretta. You guys notice that? I love that. That's a thing in the first movie. They have a nice day smile. But I love that. And Murtaugh's just like, you bastard. You show me up like this. But the Murtaugh one shot set up. And that's payoff in this movie and payoff in future movies. The Murtaugh one shot. But it's good. It's right there. They're working. Now suddenly they've gone from the previous day yelling at each other, shooting it, trying to kill himself, and the hammer gets caught on his hand. You really aren't faking. You are a psycho. To the whole try not shoot him in the leg, don't kill him. Now it's okay. We're working together. We're a team. We're starting to feel like partners. We're going to go investigate this, and then you get the Dixie scene. Again, those a bunch of 6-year-olds in LA just hanging out on the sidewalk in front of a hooker's house. Okay, that's probably still modern day LA, but they it's happening there. But they there's an innocence there. And I appreciate the innocence of kids just playing with crayons on a sidewalk.
That's what we used to do.
Play outside. Granted, I saw the outside today. I went shopping. I went outside today, but
good for you. Good for you, man.
Well, I need food. I do need food. I mean, it has to happen. But I mean, most of us we're attached to all our technology. We're doing stuff. We don't do that thing or that kind of stuff anymore. And back then, we all did do that. They did send us outside to do stuff back in the day. But the kids scene, like you guys said, it's a hilarious scene because they walk up there and they just are you here to bust Dixie? No. And they're gonna bust Dixie. They're gonna bust Dixie. And it's just you get that feeling something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen, and you get the explosion. And how do you guys feel about the revelations at this point? What happens in this scene with the whole the tattoo and the mercury switches? How do you feel about what's going on with that one?
I feel like it came suddenly because we were never explained about a tattoo, but that's fine. That's fine. You know, we don't really check out his arm. I was checking out other body parts.
During that scene, that's the only time you see it during the man-ass scene. That's the only other time you see it. During the
you don't really, we weren't really watching it.
You're right, though. You're not going to catch it the first time out. I catch it because I've seen it so many times. But the first time
you've
out,
seen the ass enough, you can, pull your eyes away.
Look at other things.
Yes, I am looking away from those well-sculpted cheeks as they slightly sway as he goes to get a beer from the fridge to notice the tattoo on his arm. No, point is, I agree. If for a first-time view, it is sudden. But Jed, I like how it's tied into the whole Shadow Company arc of this, though, and the special forces aspect of it with the mercury switches, and suddenly you get the rig side of it. He knows that world from Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys got to remember, this is 1984. Vietnam is still very fresh in everybody's memory.
It ended in 1979, I think, or 1978.
It ended. It ended before that. It ended as soon as Nixon was elected. It ended in the early 1970s. Yeah, but because basically once Nixon got elected, realized, okay, playtime's over. Nixon will bomb the hell out of everything. move on from this. No, but still, it's still a fresh thing, and it still had lasting effects, especially in terms of a lot of military aspects about no more draft, volunteer army, but again, special forces were a big thing, and also hinting at that stuff that a lot of guys did dirty drug business in Vietnam. So I like Riggs's information aspect of it.
Yeah. It does come across as a bit too much of a coincidence, just like Xray Girl was talking about. It does strain credulity a little bit that he just happens to have the exact same tattoo. And then if it's just for these special forces guys, it is a little bit hard to believe that he just happens to be the cop assigned to this case.
It's one of those moments. You're right. I'm not gonna disagree.
It's relatively minor enough you can get over it. It's not like a narrative breaking issue. Like they still would have finished the case without it, and so it's relatively fine. It's just kind of like, would have been nice if they developed it a little bit better. But it's overall not that bad, especially since there's really good dialogue in that scene with the kids.
With the kids, the kids kind of really hid that
exactly
storytelling aspect.
I love the kid. He's like covers his mouth and says,
"Don't tell him you're 6."
Yeah, I know. I laugh every time.
He's covering his own mouth and switches.
I know. It's
not like he has 2 hands
in the middle of all this. Just a little bit of wholesome in the middle of all this insane, over the top cop fight that's going on. Cop fighting drug guys is going on here. But I agree. The tattoo, it's an acceptable. It's just plot device. Moves it along, and we get to it, because then that's basically the end of Act 2, as I see it. We've had the investigation arc. Everybody's rolling on now. We've got Riggs and Murtaugh working together, and we realize they're not. Of course, there was one moment after the explosion. Again, this is 1984 when.
Oh my God! When Murtaugh was trying to
put his foot, put the fire out. Yeah. What are you, a bundle of sticks? What are you, a bundle of sticks? It's like. Back then, it's like, okay. Now it's like, yeah, bigot. You're a bigot.
Stop trying to help me survive.
Yeah. But they're working with her. Would Murtaugh have done that the previous day, I wonder? Or would he have gone to try and help? I don't know.
I think he would have, only because he's like inherently a good person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It just Riggs's reply would have maybe been a bit more violent.
True. But again, the trust and relationship building, because then they go looking for more information on Dixie on the street, but they knew something was going to happen, because Riggs wears the bulletproof vest. He wears the Kevlar when Joshua. I forgot. Hunsucker gets killed after that. Hunsucker gets killed, and Joshua tells the general, we got to take care of the police. They might know what's going on with the heroin shipment coming in. And again, there's evolution. We are 3 days removed maybe, from Riggs literally point blanking himself almost. And he decides to wear a vest.
It's not just a Deus Ex Machina, lucky that the hero survived type moment. It literally is character development at the exact same time. Nearly everything has more than one purpose in this movie at the same time. It's really a credit to the talented writing, because they were going to try to kill him. How is he going to survive? Well, make it character related how he survived. It's done incredibly well. It's very well justified why he changed his mind to start wearing the vest.
Because he's building a bond, and he's finding an anchor in life. And I say so, he's finding an actual anchor to stay in the world of the living.
I think that if he were to take his life, I think he would prefer that it was his own doing versus someone else.
He likes the control.
So like, since he knows that it's like these special forces guys with the tattoo being mentioned earlier, it makes sense that he would go in prepared and wear the vest from henceforth.
But you guys are both right. It's just it's a combination, but it's the character, and it's feasible. I thought he wanted to kill himself, but no, he knows they're in a serious situation, so he's going to come prepared. Because now he also because the thing, he at one point during their initial arguments, he says the job. I wake up every day because of the job. That's what keeps it going. So they're in the thick of this case. he's not going to go out before they fix this and finish it. He's not going out. He's going to finish the case. Then if he's still left up, he might do himself. But no, he's going to finish case. So
he might do himself.
Yeah, do your.
Sounds dirty.
Well, I don't think like you. Okay, I'm not.
I might just have a problem. That might be.
You might have too much Parmesan cheese, dude. Too much Parmesan cheese.
Is that what it is?
It's too much Parmesan cheese. Yeah, he's
that's my heroin.
Yeah, that's speaking of heroin. Yeah, that's his heroin. But it's the evolution. It's the natural storytelling evolution character, and of course, Murtaugh is so relieved that he wore the vest. And then you lead right into that moment, though. Dimples. They get the call. Riggs thinking, okay, now we have the upper hand. They think I'm dead. We can now do something crazy. But no, I'm sorry. We're going to take control away from you by having Rianne get kidnapped. And this third act, I think, we go to full-on action movie at this point. We are in full action movie from here on out. Mel is topless for the remainder 30 minutes almost.
Oh, yeah.
And he is in full ass-kicking form. We got Danny Glover in a wife beater, if that does things for anybody. I don't know. And we got but
give it a few years. Actually, girl might like it.
Honestly, Danny Glover
gets fit for 50,
and he gets in better shape as the movies go on. Honestly, he keeps saying I'm too old for this shit all the time, but by Lethal Weapon 4, Danny Glover was in pretty good shape in Lethal Weapon 4.
Oh yeah,
pretty good shape. But it's fascinating to me though how now, at least looking at it from today's perspective, how every single piece of the puzzle that's been set up for this movie falls into place for a well-orchestrated third act. Everything makes sense. Everything feels organic. And all the character reactions feel appropriate. Nobody behaves out of character. Because after Rianne is taken and they're sitting in the Murtaugh living room in brilliant lighting with the red Christmas light just covering them, Riggs basically says, if we're going to survive this, we have to do this my way. That means we're going to kill a lot of people.
Pew pews.
Lot of pew pew. And Murtaugh's like, I don't care. They have my daughter. And I loved that. I like you. They have my little girl. I am not.
That's just what a normal father would do if their child was kidnapped. Do everything they can to get them back.
Yeah.
Right.
And to that point, during the whole interrogation sequence in the nightclub, when Murtaugh's being tortured, when they're literally rubbing salt, that's the first time I ever learned about salt in the wound. I had never understood that. That was the first time I learned about that.
It's one of the few idioms that has an actual real world application.
Yeah.
Like feeding the ducks isn't really what it means. It's not describing what it means. Salt in the wound, literally describing what it means.
And no,
I feed the ducks.
Yeah, well, I can't see your hand. I can't see your hand right now, so I don't know. Okay, there you go.
Well, I don't have any ducks here.
And I can't. And there's no music. Before we knew what that was, when I upped my StreamYard subscription last year, I deleted all that music when it came. I'm like, I don't want this shit. I'm getting it out of here.
Are
and now
you
we
sad
learn
now?
a little bit, but then I'd be copying FNT, and I feel like, they're just copying FNT.
Well, if you want it, Smooth the DJ has a 12-minute version for you to download if you'd like.
Oh,
on his YouTube. Shout out Smooth.
We might do that. We might do that. But yeah, so no. But that was the first time I saw that kind of thing, and I realized, ooh, and as a former professional chef, when you've got cuts on your hands and you're dealing with salt, it does freaking hurt. Even the smallest little cut on the tip of your finger. Like I have one right here right now. I don't know how I got it yesterday. It's there. It hurts. Little bit of salt freaking hurts. So it's good. But then when they bring out Rianne in that scene, I love Murtaugh's reaction. I'll kill you. I'm gonna kill all of you. He is tied up. He's got a graze wound that's had salt in. He's beat all the hell. Can't do anything, but he's still saying, you touch my daughter, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill every single one of you. And it's powerful. I find it powerful.
Well, because he knows that he can't do anything, and he's answered as best as he could. But they know that's the next step.
It's good dad, though. It's good dad.
Mental warfare.
Good dad,
And that
yeah.
continues through the rest of the movie when he does, that one shot. He's like, "No way you live. No way.
No way you
Love
live.
it.
Time for you to die." I love it. But of course, the previous scene, the attempted exchange scene, where we get full on sniper rigs. I love that. If I had been military eligible, I can't because I have like flat feet. We're talking pancake flat feet. I would not. I would have been ejected from the military if I had tried to get in there. Would not have let me in. That and my eyesight, disqualification. But I would have been sniper because I have the natural shooting technique that I found out a long time ago. I'm very good at it, target shooting lots of years. But sniper rigs, I love that as he's just taking them out one at a time, and I love it. He thinks he's got Joshua. Oh, stick your head up. Oh, goodbye, you're done. Got you. It's like, nope, sorry, you're not going anywhere. I love that whole scene, Jed.
The helicopter was like overkill.
But that's 80. That's 80s. That is full on 80s. That's 80s overkill, and we're used to it. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
I accept it. That's full 80s overkill.
When it was coming out and like the music, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. The cars make sense, but why the freak is a helicopter following them?
Well, they established it during the assassination of Michael Hunsucker. So there was
I know. It's just I thought it was.
It is, but it's over the top. But again, because it's 80s over the top, it doesn't register with me.
Yeah,
it's like it's 80s. It's what happens. There's lots of vehicles and 20 dudes with guns.
I think it would have made more sense if Joshua or the
like
general
one of the head
had showed
honchos
up.
came out.
Yeah. If they were on it, it's like, hey, I don't want to drive hours out into the desert. I'm lazy and I'm rich. I'm gonna fly 15 minutes out. Let the henchmen go first. Cool, you got a justification. But in this one, just 80s action. Yeah, just like you're saying.
It's over the top 80s, which I appreciate it at this point because it like we said earlier, this movie knows exactly what it is. It's not pretending to be anything but the origin of buddy cop movies and some good action and Mel Gibson with his shirt off. It's very, very simple. And what happens then, that whole sequence is great. But then we lead to the torture scene, the interrogation stuff. And it's just flat out metal foot on the pedal for the rest of the remaining 30 odd minutes. I mean, at this point, Extra Girl, you're watching this for the first time. Are you just riveted? You're like, yes, I want to see what happens now. I want these bad guys to get what they deserve. Are you there?
Yeah.
Yet?
I mean, they're true to evil types of people, very selfish, self-concerning. They've done evil to people that just because they know things or have been around people. And let's bring it back to Mel Gibson. Water being hung from a hook and his muscles flexing.
I love how you paused for a second right after saying he's hung.
She's remembering it. She's remembering it.
There was a lot of ab flexing that was like, dang. And then even after all that, he has the energy to kick butt. Like,
and here's the thing, when he says, I'm going to kill the both of you, he means it. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, he's going to kill them both. That's why I chose that scene for the intro when I was piecing it together, remaking the intro a few months ago. I thought, okay, I want that scene as Danny Glover saying, you're kind of a lethal weapon. I wanted that scene where he's just choking the guy out with his ankles. I wanted that in there because like, yeah, that's peak Riggs at that point because you're. And then
I love how he does the iconic Black Widow head scissor. That's become her move. I love how he does that a few times in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, the figure four choke out at the end.
Mm-hmm.
The figure four. I mean, as an old school wrestling fan, I love me my figure four. I love me my figure four headlock. That was great. But then he comes out, and what I love is after General is saying to Murtaugh, I don't know why you're trying to do this. There are no heroes anymore. Boom! Door opens. Out comes Riggs. Fireman carry a dead body. Just starts laying waste to everything, and action ensues, and it's great. And we get all these great chase sequences, well organized. We get the payoff, like Jed said earlier, of the Murtaugh one shot to the general, and he gets trapped. And then I love how I do love the way the general dies, honestly. Trapped in the car, squealing like a bitch. I like it. I like it. Trying to get his hands on those grenades to get him away from the fire. Now, I don't know if grenades are going to blow up that quickly close to fire, but I appreciate it. He's squealing like
they at least try to give it some time. In Last of Us, they blow up instantaneously. It's like, no, they got to heat through the metal first. So I appreciated the movie at least giving nod to that fact.
Yeah, and there were several grenades. You know, they were spread out, so one might have been closer to the fire. But either way, again, this general who's been being so stern and so surgical in his decisions, he cries like a bitch as he dies. and Murtaugh's just like, yeah, I got you. And then Riggs is trying to chase Joshua on foot through the LA freeway.
That's how bad traffic is.
It's feasible. You just gotta remember this scene. That scene is important where this is for a future reference in way all the way in 4, where Murtaugh just basically, he's out of breath before he goes after the general, says, go, just go. And Riggs, without even batting an eye, just bolts down it, full speed, no problem, healthy as an ox, fit as an ox, very fit. And very fit.
Very,
thick as an ox.
Very fit.
Very fit.
So fit.
So fit that we're remembering him hanging again, covered in water, and maybe all the way back to the beginning of the movie where we saw man ass. But he chased now without losing any breath at all, because he's peak physical condition. Just remember that is just for future. When you get farther down the road, Extra, just remember that scene. That kind of moment comes back so important in Lethal Weapon 4. It's just it's verisimilitude comes around. Everything comes back around. It's great. Anyway, Joshua gets away, and at this point, our good guys have won.
Yeah,
they've won. The heroin ring is busted. Everybody except Joshua is dead. Literally, everybody except Mr. Joshua is dead.
1 second. Okay, so I don't know what happened, but his daughter, how did she get out? Because I don't remember what happened in the movie from when they were rescued to.
There was a cop on the street. There's a cop on the street. Yeah, Murtaugh hands her off to a patrol officer.
Oh, okay. It was so quick.
Handoff. Yeah, it was just a quick handoff. Because what happened is, because I think there was because of the firefight in the club, somebody must have called 911.
Okay.
And that's why there was a police presence outside when they emerged. And they didn't take his badge away, so he still had his badge, I guess.
Yeah, it's a blink and you miss moment. Like, I missed it this time, but I'd seen the movie before, so I knew that moment was there. But yeah, it's pretty easy to miss.
Yeah, he just hands her off. Rianne gets taken away to safety. And now, everybody's dead but Joshua. And here's where you kind of might question it, but I don't. You're Joshua. Why the hell don't you just disappear?
He's vindictive.
That's it. You're both right. That's it.
It's character development. Exactly what I was saying with Riggs doing the championship fight. Kind of cliche. The villain going after the family in the end. Kind of cliche. But these characters have been developed in such a way that it makes perfect sense. So it's allowed to have a cliche moment if it's well set up, and this movie did it.
He's vindictive. He was loyal to the general, and Riggs and Murtaugh just destroyed his entire life. So you know what? He's going to do one horrible thing on the way out. He knows he's done. He's not going to get away. He's going to do one more horrible thing. He's going to kill Murtaugh's family. But like you guys said earlier, the Dimple kid found murdered. They killed an 18-year-old kid, maybe 18-year-old. Could have been a college kid. They didn't really go that far into it. But he killed the kid just earlier to get Rianne, and they found the Dimples, which means, oh no, that was earlier. But anyway, that's connected back to this anyway. Still, that means he knows they know where he lives.
Yeah.
They
know where he lives. And Murtaugh and Riggs, and here's the other thing too. Murtaugh is hurt, but this is the first time he lets Riggs drive.
I missed that.
He trusts him enough to let him drive. Yeah, I mean, I think if he wanted to, he could have driven, but no, I'm hurting. I'm going to let you drive. And here's one thing. If they knew that Joshua was going to the house, this is what I question. Why didn't they alert those 2 patrolmen who were on guard, who were on watch there, to be really ready for something? Because, man, Joshua pulls up and just aces those dudes. Just aces them cold-blooded. I was like, man.
Yeah, that setup is a little bit weird, especially with
Yeah.
the note inside the house, as if they knew that they would be
Yeah.
coming back. It at first, like the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, this must mean that Riggs and Murtaugh got there before Joshua did, and they staged the scene. And the cops, they didn't know what Joshua looked like, but that's not what happened. So it doesn't really make sense.
Something doesn't match up there. Yeah, it just
Yeah.
doesn't match up. I always question that moment. If they got there to put the note in, how come those two patrolmen were so caught pardon the pun, flat-footed? You know, cops.
Yeah. If the note was gone, we'd be all right mostly.
Yeah. And then Riggs takes obviously their car and rams it through the door. The poor Murtaugh house. The Murtaugh house goes
Would
through
never
so
have done that. Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Extra girl, you haven't even seen where they're going to do this house for the next 3 movies.
They just put this house through more shit than Murtaugh and Riggs go through.
Yeah, I don't
the
think
Murtaugh
insurance
house.
covers this, by the way, if it's self-inflicted.
The Murtaugh house.
Riggs did it, so it's not as
In the
long as
line of
Murtaugh
duty.
doesn't do it, you'll be all right.
In the line of duty, I guess. I
Oh,
don't
so maybe
know.
the police will pay for it.
I don't know, but the Murtaugh house gets so abused. I think that's the nicest word I can say. It gets abused for these
Still
4
love
movies.
the nail gun fight.
Shh.
I just said nail gun.
Yeah,
That's
I
not
know. I know, but now she's thinking about it. Nail gun? There was no nail gun in this one. Oh, damn it. No. All right, nail gun. There's a nail gun used in one.
That's all I was going to say.
Nail gun.
Okay.
Okay. So now we get the climax. I like this fight, even with my admission that I wish Gary Busey was not Mr. Joshua in the end, even though I do like my Gary Busey. I like this fight for a lot of reasons. And one day, Jed, when we get to Lethal Weapon 4, I'm going to ask you about this fight and Lethal Weapon 4's finale. I'm going to ask you about that when it comes to Riggs. I'm going to ask you about that one day. Esker, what did you think of this fight, besides the fact that he's topless and wet?
Again. I think it was a good fight, just contained in it. It was a lot of water, more than I would think a fire hydrant would spray. It was a bit of excessive in water. I mean, no complaints.
No.
But I mean, I don't think a fire hydrant would spill like that. The fight itself was good. It made me think about MMA a lot because I don't watch really wrestling in general. So I thought that looked kind of like grappling.
Oh, no, there was the figure 4 leg lock at the end that we'll use it's a neck lock. That's the only remotely wrestling thing going on in this. The rest of it's a pretty brutal fight. It's a good brutal fight.
I thought it was like MMA in the octagon. It's very well. I mean, I guess that's the future, reminiscent in my past of it. The one thing I didn't understand, and maybe it's putting today's standards on police, is like, if you see people fighting like that and that's the bad guy, why are you standing and doing nothing?
I have an answer for that.
Well, I mean, I saw the APB about Murtaugh is the lead, and Murtaugh's been like, you're not interfering.
I got another one. I got another answer to that. I was prepared for this. I'm prepared for this. Murtaugh says, this guy just killed 2 of our own.
That'll piss you off.
Cop killer. And cops, they will throw the rule book out if they get their hands on a cop killer, because then they're going to let them get tuned up a little bit on the way out. So I think at that point, again, Jed, we comment on this a lot on a lot of things. Sometimes you're saying, we're stretching credulity on this when it comes to certain scenes. Are they really going to let this happen? One, in the beginning, it's just Riggs and Murtaugh when the fight starts. And Murtaugh, he's got 2 guns. Joshua's not going anywhere, even if he beats up Riggs. He's not going anywhere. This is an alpha fight right now. This is 2 alpha males. They have got to fight it out. They've been going at each other from a distance, and then this is payoff from the torture scene. Payoff from the torture scene is, I'm gonna kill you. You beat the crap. You tortured me. I'm gonna kill you. And we get it. And they have to settle it. Who's Shadow Company or Riggs? Who's the top dog in this one? And it's just, Jed, I like it because it's a brutal fight.
Oh, very, very brutal and incredibly technically well done. It doesn't need to rely upon close cut, shaky cams or anything like that to make it look action fast. Yeah. these people, they actually trained, it's well choreographed, and it looks like it hurts. And it doesn't look like stunt doubles for most of it, which is really
No, it was
commendable.
Mel Gibson for most of it. You could see you can't mimic that body. You can't mimic that body.
Yeah, especially in that same. My favorite shot of that fight sequence is where he's like on his shoulders, and it's like, you know, the end when he's choking him out, and he's completely vertical choking Joshua out while Joshua's standing. I don't know why, like it's like framed by one of the cop lights, and he's just his muscles are right there. It's so weird, but I love that shot.
I like it again. To have him do a submission move to end it. I dig it. I dig it's the submission move to end it. It's not just like it's not a I boom bang pound you in submission. No, I made you tap. Oh, he put him to sleep for a second. He wouldn't. They didn't make him tap out. It's like you're going to sleep. You're going to sleep. You're going to sleep. But I love it how when it's going on, Murtaugh, when he thinks Riggs in trouble, let me help. Let me help. He's like, no, back up. No, back up. I got to do this because you have to realize this is more than just putting into the case. I kind of feel like this is Riggs fighting himself a little bit at the end here. It's Riggs fighting with that last vestment of his suicidal behaviors, because if he can do this, if he can protect not only society, but what's about to become his new family from this danger, he's going to reach this level of acceptance and beginning of closure. And the closure takes 3 more movies. Complete closure for Riggs does take the rest of the 3 movies, but it's the real first step, and it's healing, and it's legitimate healing. Jed, I mean, as a guy who deals with Minecrafting as a theme in your work a lot, are you okay with how the progression of this happened?
Well, absolutely. This is one of the greatest examples of a depiction of mental health and Minecrafting that I'd seen in a lot of with these older movies, when it wasn't exactly a prominent issue in just culture. It wasn't a very prominent deal. Like the fact that they had a psychologist in the movie was very unusual, and they just set it up so very well. And tying into that, my favorite part of this fight overall is in the end where he chooses not to kill him, because that's a payoff for the setup at the beginning of the movie where he thinks about killing that drug dealer. And this random cop just says, it's not worth it. At the time, you're just like, oh, yeah, he shouldn't kill this guy. But it comes back around because Riggs, he doesn't think his life has value. He doesn't care about his life. So he can throw it away just for that brief satisfaction of killing a dude who deserves it. But at the end, just like you're saying, it's been set up in a way that he finally has the beginning of closure to the extent that he wants to live and he wants to have a good life. And he knows that's impossible if he kills this man.
And he says that line. It's not worth it.
Yeah, he says yeah, he brings it back. And as much as Murtaugh is in
I didn't catch
charge,
that. I didn't catch that. Excellent grab, dude. Excellent.
And as much as Murtaugh is in charge of the scene, he would have gone away. If he had killed that guy, especially in that moment when he didn't need to, he would have gone to jail. Absolutely. So his life would have been over. So that was him actively choosing to place value on his own life. And as someone who's gone through stuff like this and writes about stuff like this a lot, that is the most important moment, is when you have to place value on your own life.
Well said. I mean, Xray, do you feel the same way, at least how the presentation of it all?
Yeah. I like the way they kind of rolled it all out and made it just so, in some ways, relatable to audiences, you know?
Isn't that the key? The relatability of it all?
Well, and like just from even the beginning, I think family values, friendship, that is the key to a lot of good movies. And this whole movie encircles that. I mean, obviously there's the action and the fighting and then the drug bust and buddy cop kind of in it. But the key to this movie is that friendship between the 2 cops and inviting him into this family because he lacks a family. And that's something to live for.
Yeah. And he finds this family right there. And as we said, after, and of course, there's that one moment, Joshua then breaks free as they're trying to handcuff him. And then they both pull it out and bang him. Both at the same
shot
time.
Is so weird. Like he's like,
but it's iconic, dude. It's
wrapped
iconic.
around the shirtless version. I just think of like damsel in distress in that moment. I don't know why it's not actively what they're showing. I just see, the big Danny Glover arms surrounding Mel Gibson. It's I don't know. I love the
but
shot.
I still
but
love the
it's
shot.
kind of-
That
Oh, I love
iconic
it. It's
moment where
just
it's just like they both at the same time they're in sync, and then he collapses and he says, "I got you, partner." And then it's like they're there.
Mhm.
We got there. We got there. They're friends. They're friends.
Lovely.
Well, and this moment shows that they're tracking props as well too. There's a few examples of it in the movie, but he has to take the gun from Murtaugh. And earlier in the movie, Riggs lost his handcuffs jumping off with the jumper. And when they go to the drug dealer's house, Murtaugh hands off his handcuffs to Riggs. They're keeping track of where all the props are at. It's kind of a small thing, but
that's Richard Donner.
really good.
I think that's Richard Donner. That he's just he wants to make a good movie. He wants to make sure that the nerds who are going to track this shit have the continuity aspect of it. And then we get the epilogue, and I really like it because now, of course, Jed, you said that was a brutal, vicious fight. You see the battle damage on Riggs when he goes to Victoria Lynn's grave there, and he got beat up hard. But I like it because right there, that's the first stage of his closure.
Mm-hmm.
I miss you, but I'm ready to move on. I'm going to move on now. I'm not going to dwell on this anymore. At least not to the point where I'm going to do harm to myself. And it's of course classic raining at a grave. But remember this: it's raining in Lethal Weapon 1. Just remember that when he goes to. Ooh, I just had a thought about it. Important for later, but I just had another thought. See, one of the biggest problems when you watch Lethal Weapon 1 is I want to then keep watching them all, but I didn't have time this afternoon.
I nearly did too.
I nearly did. And it was like, okay, it's 5:00. I should start dinner. I want to actually eat before the show tonight. I don't want to look because I want to play Harry Potter or Hogwarts Legacy afterwards. So I don't want to be eating dinner for an hour, making dinner for an hour afterwards, and we want to go play. But no, so I wanted to go in. I just thought there's something I need to check in Lethal Weapon 4. Again, for continuity's sake, Jed. I have to check it, but I'll have to wait. I'll have to remember it. But just remember when he's in this first moment, when he's visiting Victoria Lynn's grave, it's raining. We're going to come back to the next time he visits her grave. A completely different scene, but a just as powerful a scene in Lethal Weapon 4. But then he goes to the Murtaugh household for Christmas dinner. It's Christmas movie. No, you guys have destroyed my hopes and dreams on that with this one today. That right there, the handing over of the special bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful. I love it. It's just I don't need it anymore. He'll know what it means. And here he's found, like I said, he's found a reason to respect life again, more than just the job.
Mm-hmm.
More than just the job. And Murtaugh comes out and they have their connection, and it's like, and you realize, okay, this at that time, let's say it's 1984. I'm too young. I didn't see this in theaters. I'm old, but not that old. And you realize now this could be they didn't know to say it. This could be the beginning of a beautiful friendship, and it could be the beginning of so much. You have no idea the adventures that are still going to happen, but you realize, wow, I want to see more of these two guys doing this stuff. And then, of course, as he goes in there, like we mentioned earlier, Riggs is clearly uncomfortable during the original Family Dinner with Rianne making googly eyes at him. And he has no desire for her, but that doesn't mean he's not going to rib Raj over it. He's not going to say, yeah, your daughter's looking at me. And, she's a cute girl. Touch her, I'll kill you. I'll kill you. I mean, but the ribbing begins. And now that's going to be a running gag for the movies. But that's kind of it now. Extra Girl, what we kind of like to do at the end when we reach the discussion. Today we did a nice chronological discussion movie. We like to talk about we like to talk about soundtracks, whether or not they elevate it in a movie, because that's kind of some of the things we feel like may add our score, may raise it or lower it. I love the soundtracks of the Lethal Weapon movies, because if you ask me, the soundtrack is the ever-present third main character of these movies. walk with me on this. Walk with me. I think you'll like where we're going with this.
Uh-huh.
The very beginning, when we introduce our two main characters, they're accompanied by specific instruments. The lazy saxophone for Murtaugh, the hard guitar riffs for Riggs. And I noticed it I know in the third movie, but I only noticed it today because I was actually looking at the screen when it was on there. Eric Clapton was involved for all the soundtracks of these movies.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so point is, the soundtrack is alive in this movie, and it's not. We're taking the classic Christmas songs out of it. We're removing those. We're putting them over here. It characterizes these things. Whenever I hear the guitar riff for Riggs, or the Murtaugh saxophone, I know it instantly. It's iconic. And I feel it. How do you? Were you paying attention to the soundtrack at all in this first time? You weren't. Oh
no, not at all.
Oh
That's
no!
why I was making those faces, and you should have told me. I would have listened a bit harder.
Well, that's Jed's fault. We just met tonight. That's Jed's fault. Jed, you dropped.
I
the
don't
ball.
pay attention to the music either that much. So.
Well, I mean,
no.
in all, like I'll say, the music does change the atmosphere of anything and everything. So, I mean, from what I could tell, the only ones I can remember are the action scenes where it was like high paced, very lively, and that made that more
Even on
exciting.
that thing, it's perfectly mapped, scored to the scenes, the music, even though the Alice score. But there's something about this. I love the Riggs guitar theme. I love the Murtaugh saxophone theme. I just love it. To me, it's iconic, and it just makes me always think of it. And then I follow them, the various iterations throughout all four movies. And I just love it. I love it. And I didn't know that Clapton was involved in the first movie. I'll have to check on the second movie because I know he wrote the opening theme for the third movie, which is forever in my brain. I love that one so much. But that made me cool. So, okay, I guess I'm when you rewatch it at some point, when you're getting ready to continue your adventure with Lethal Weapon, you just got to note the guitar and the saxophone. It's great. And they even do this. Oh, hang on. Even when they do it when they have their cameo in Maverick, when Danny Glover cameos in Maverick, they play it in Maverick. They play their partnership theme in Maverick, and he's just going, yes. Have you seen Maverick, Xray girl?
I thought you meant Top Gun.
It's okay.
That's why I was like, this is not what I anticipated.
No, where is he going with this? Damn it. No, Mel Gibson, James Garner, Jodie Foster. It's a nice little comedy Western movie based on when James Garner was the actual character in the TV show Maverick. This is a fun one. It's a fun one. It's a good Mel Gibson movie. But there's a cameo in the middle of it where Mel Gibson's character is in a bank and the bank gets robbed, and it's Danny Glover. And at one point, he's got everybody's gun face, and Mel Gibson Maverick just reaches out and he pulls down the what's it called? Shit.
Neckerchief.
The handkerchief, the whatever. Pulls it down and they look at it and he's like, "What are you trying to do?" And they're looking at each other and they go, "This, huh? Do I know you?" And they play the Lethal Weapon, the partner theme, and you just go, "Thank you. Thank you." That's a nice little Easter egg for Lethal Weapon fans. So I love the music, and it just, to me, it exemplifies the characterization of all these things. So that's why I feel like it's a character all unto itself throughout all four movies. And I love it. I love it. Oh, with that said, I believe we've reached the end of this. Since it was Xray Girl's first time seeing it, I don't want her to be influenced by our scores when she gives it. We score from basically 1 to 10. So how would you score this as your first outing?
Probably like an 8 out of 10. Not perfect. Ooh. There's a couple things that could be better, but it's really good overall. Entertaining.
Excellent. Hang on. Damn it, I screwed something up here. Jed, what's your score?
Well, the distinction I always like to make when I'm reviewing stuff is the difference between subjective enjoyment and objective rating. Subjectively, I give this movie like a 9.5 out of 10. I love it. But from an objective standpoint, adding in a lot of the criticisms that we had for continuity, coincidences, the lack of villain characterization, and the mystery not being anything, I'd also give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I'm very happy with that.
You guys are not. You guys are probably gonna be surprised at my score. Like Jed, I scored this kind of like you do with these movies today. I had to, but it's in a slightly different way. I tried to be as objective as possible, taking the subjectively 9 out of 10 for me. Subjectively 9 out of 10, with my known, always kind of little things that I talked about, but objectively. I have to be, and I'm going to do this. My thing, I have to compare it to the other three.
Yeah.
Adding in the slight points off, I give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Very nice.
It's an 8.5. It's an 8.5 just because I love it every time. I am always happy. And by the sheer fact that I want to go watch the other three.
Mm-hmm.
If I wasn't going to go fire up Hogwarts Legacy after this, I'm watching Lethal Weapon 2, and I still might choose to watch Lethal Weapon 2. Well, who am I kidding? I'm going to be up till 5 a.m. again. Who am I kidding?
Yeah.
This is one of the,
yeah.
This is one of the few franchises that I put up there with like Lord of the Rings. If I'm going to sit down and watch it, I'm going to watch the whole thing, usually. I got to watch all four at once.
I got this. I got my 4-pack for it for Christmas 2021. I got this one, and it was, I think I got it for $12 on Amazon. For that time. And this one is, and I was worried because you know how on Amazon they mix up the comments or the how people do on the starring system. It was for all versions of different Lethal Weapon combo packs, and I was worried. Somebody said they're censored. They censored everything. I'm thinking, oh no, am I gonna get forget use? Am I gonna get that?
And you lose the titties. That's more important.
Even that, but this can be verbally censored, but no, this is a good one. The pressings are all good, and first thing I did when I got it was I put it in that Christmas, and I went right to the Riggs drug bust scene where I knew that was our first major F-bomb, and he said, "I'm like, okay, we're good, we're rock and roll," and over the next 48 hours, I watched all 4 movies. I couldn't stop. Mm-hmm. Got it, and I didn't get to watch these this Christmas. I didn't get a chance because we were doing so many other things this year.
Yeah.
But all right, so that's it. Before we go, I do want to announce next week's movie. We are starting our James Bond experience next week. Ooh. And we're skipping Dr. No because I want to. It's my choice next week.
I love Dr. No.
I know, but I want to go right to From Russia with Love. From Russia with Love. We're going right to From Russia with Love. That's when all the classic James Bond shticks really begin. The gadgets, the ladies, all the real one-liners begin. Oh, it's so good. So we're beginning our James Bond adventure. We're starting with the best of them all, Mr. Connery. We call him the man.
Oh, yeah.
We call him the man. And we're starting that. So that's next week, From Russia with Love. We'll be right back here. Jed, there's no roundtable this week.
There's not.
We're doing a Super Bowl Sunday, no roundtable, and I got to do some personal stuff, so I got to take care of something. I'm taking advantage of that. What do you got going on into next week?
Well, just my regularly scheduled live streams for the most part, Geeks and Gamers Tabletop, my daily videos as always, I'm going to try to keep up on, but I am getting quite busy with my move to Florida coming up in just the next couple months, very, very soon here, so I may have to unfortunately skip a few days on occasion until then, but as we depart, I needed to shout out something that Mr. Grumpy Old Vaping Gamer in the chat, our resident Legion of Memers members, put out on Twitter during this stream.
Wow.
Why am I the black man?
Why am I not taller? How dare you?
You're Joe Pesci.
You're Joe Pesci.
He's in the sequels. He's just really short. That's where his head's at.
Yeah. Lethal Weapon 3, his head's kind of just popping up a little bit from behind. Well, we do have memers. We've been memed. I hate that one.
I'm all right with it.
I hate that one of me. Oh well. All right. Well, yeah. At least you're smiling.
Well, and I'm Riggs.
You're Riggs too.
Yeah.
And you're good Riggs in that one. Riggs in 3 is good Riggs. That's really good Riggs in that one. That's good Riggs. Xray, thank you for coming on tonight. Everybody knows who you are. So what's your schedule for content for next week? What are you doing?
Oh gosh, I'm not gonna get into it. It's fine. Just find me, YouTube, Twitter. You'll find stuff there.
It's not like
good.
Like we don't know who you are. It's
yeah. Well, I'll be doing a story time if you guys want to listen to me read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So
you gonna do voices for the different people? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? They're gonna have different voices?
No, this is my lazy version of an audiobook without editing.
I was just imagining you trying to do a Batman voice for Mr. Hyde. I don't know why that's where I immediately went.
My name is Mr. Hyde. It's not gonna work. Or I guess I could do like this one.
Oh no.
Dang it.
That is so disturbing. That is so disturbing.
Here, wait. And echo down. Okay, let's try that.
Hello.
Oh.
My name is Mr. Hyde. I'm going to kill you.
Now, you sound like that certain unmentionable character in Hogwarts Legacy that happens to have the same name as Ryan.
My name is Serona Ryan. Would you like a butterbeer?
That is actually spot on.
I think I'm going to have to clip that. It's gonna go in.
That's side by side comparison because that's really
that's getting clipped and that's getting saved for something. I don't know what, but that's too good. I'm not letting that go away. All right, good. Thank you for being here. Thank you, chat. We know you enjoyed it. I saw you guys were talking up and down this. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. If you did, remember, hit that like button. Leave a comment when we're done. And we will catch you next week with whoever the guest may be as we continue to look for our third permanent panelist. We're continuing that look. Anyway, thanks again, everybody. And we hope you have a good night or day wherever you may be. And take it easy, guys.
Bye.
Chevron 1, coded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed your hunt. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry hammer, and let's set the dogs of war.
Chevron 2 encoded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of their women.
It's all in the reflexes.
Well, I'll also say that you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi, and all that killer stuff.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
That's why you can't, little boy.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass!
I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.